I have a fetish of collecting my girlfriend's body parts. I never thought she would end up liking it more than I did. I remember her sitting there, eyes rolled back, enjoying the pain like no other. At first I was concerned, but now I'm excited for what we can do next. For context, when I was young, I loved to collect things, little trinkets that would remind me of an experience just by touching them. It was fun, looking through my collection, gingerly sorting through seashells, torn out pieces of paper and other junk. Somehow, having something to hold on to made those memories more real. As I grew up, the hobby stayed with me. I'd collect flyers, coins, a 4-leaf clover, and stored all of them Ziploc bags, named, dated, and hung on in chronological order on a clothes rack. It was unusual, sure, but I wasn't hurting anyone with it. The first time I did stuff in bed with a girl, I took a strand of hair. I'd woken up bleary-eyed the morning after, curled into the curve of her body. Staring at the strawberry blonde in front of me, an impulse flashed through me, and I plucked off a string. She snapped awake, but didn't notice anything too strange. When I got home, I put that first prize away in a special box. It became a habit, taking something from them to remember them by. I wasn't a long-term kind of guy, never slept with the same girl more than once, but I still loved the way they made me feel. Collecting a part from their body was just a way for me to reminisce on the way their whole body had intertwined with mine. It was my way of showing that I did love them, even if it was just for the night. I collected hair, scabs, nail clippings, whatever I thought I could pull off without being caught, but soon scraps weren't enough. I needed something with some weight to it. I started getting better and better at this whole process. I'd pick out a girl, at first people I saw on campus, then at bars and clubs. I'd pull out all the stops, get the girl to the point where I could get what I wanted, what I needed, from her. I was always careful not to reveal too much about myself though. Then, on the night I'd bring my kit, a scalpel, a hand towel soaked in some crude chloroform I'd made by mixing nail polish remover with bleach and bandages. I'd do the deed, let myself get lost in the girl, in the blood rush of the act. Then after we were done, I'd wait till she fell asleep, then drape the hand towel over her mouth and get to work cutting off a toe or a finger or a chunk of meat from her breast. I know it sounds wrong, but objectively speaking, was I really taking all that much? Then I met my current girlfriend, Jamie. By that time I'd collected from 11 girls, and I was getting jaded. I needed something new, something that wasn't peppy and blonde. She stood out from the crowd, tall and strong, with bright red hair and an excellent body. We had a mutual acquaintance, some guy in my class who'd borrowed notes one time. She blew me off every time I asked her to go to coffee, and trashed every bouquet I gave her. Most guys would give up after a while, but all that did was make me want her more. She was like the best prize in an arcade game, unattainable while simultaneously just in my grasp. When I finally got her, I decided I wanted to do things right. The deed was amazing, mind-blowing. It felt like the first time all over again, like I was discovering something new with her. Then, as she fell asleep, I started the usual procedure. I dug the scalpel into the indent of the joint of her big toe. Amputations bled a lot, so I worked fast, slitting the tendons, working my way through the knuckle until I could muscle the whole thing off. The skin tore on the backside of her toe, leaving a jagged skin flap hanging off, and she shuddered in her bed, back arching. Looking at her face, I realized she was staring at me, the hand towel discarded on the bed next to her. Something strange flickered across her face, something I hadn't expected. Lust. "Don't you dare stop, it feels so good," she murmured, her gruff voice making me shiver. I didn't even hesitate, brought my scalpel to her next knuckle, delicately traced it with the razor-sharp edge of the blade. It was so sensual, the way the blood beaded from the slit in her skin, the way her flesh parted the same way her lips did as she took a gasp of air. Then I dug in and took another trophy. Putting it to the side, I wrapped the stump up in a gauze bandage, staining red instantly as the blood spat out. Then she pulled me down onto her, and we did it all night. We've been doing that for 2 months now, getting bigger and bigger with each time. Last night I took her last toe off, so now we have a bracelet made from her toes. I think it's clear to both of us that this isn't going to last, that this love has to end, that it's going to get too big to just hide. But the passion of it all has kept us going so far. As Jamie and I sat there together, my fingers brushing the edge of the necklace made from her toes, a strange sensation washed over me. The room was silent, save for the soft hum of the air conditioning and the rhythmic cadence of her breathing. Our eyes locked in a moment that felt suspended in time, and I couldn't help but wonder what would come next. "Jamie," I began, my voice sounding foreign in the quiet room, "there's something I've been meaning to tell you." She looked at me, curiosity mixed with that familiar flicker of anticipation. She waited for me to continue, her grip on my hand tightening ever so slightly. "The truth is, Jamie," I paused, collecting my thoughts, "I can't imagine a future without you. Not anymore." There it was, out in the open. She didn't say anything for a moment, studying my face as if looking for something. "I feel the same," she finally replied, her voice barely a whisper. In that instant, something shifted. A new depth was added to the abyss we were already in, a promise for a future that was as dark as it was enthralling. But then a thought struck me, bringing with it a chill that made me shudder. "But Jamie," I started, my heart pounding in my chest, "what happens when we run out of pieces?" The room was silent once again. Jamie's eyes didn't waver from mine, her gaze so intense that it was almost physically palpable. But then she did something that I hadn't expected. She smiled. "Who said?" she started, her voice calm and steady, that we are limited to just one body. As her words echoed in the room, I felt a wave of terror and exhilaration surge through me. The line of thought was horrifying, yet it held a certain allure, a forbidden temptation. And in that moment, I realized we were stepping into a realm from which there would be no return. Jamie squeezed my hand in silent agreement, her smile growing wider, and all I could think was that we had a long ways to go before we had to find another person. I think I know what we'll have to do once she runs out of flesh, but I'm sure the love I feel for her will more than make up for it. I want to be with her forever. My dream is that one day I will be able to decorate my room with her body.